they fucking killed another one. This morning in Minneapolis, ICE agents executed a 37-year-old American citizen in the middle of the street. Shot him 10 times. 5 of those bullets were pumped into his body after he was already lying motionless on the ground. And just like Renee Good 2 weeks ago, like every other person these fascist death squads have murdered, the government is already lying about what happened.
They're doing too much, man, and they keep pushing people, you know?
Oh shit! What the fuck? They killed him? Did they fucking kill that guy? Are you fucking kidding me, dude? Not again. Are you fucking kidding me? That guy's dead.
That's an execution. That's what state-sanctioned murder looks like in broad daylight. And we're gonna break down exactly how these ICE agents hunted, beat, and executed an unarmed man for the crime of filming them doing their job. The victim's name hasn't been officially released yet, but here's what we know. 37-year-old white male, Minneapolis resident. According to Police Chief Brian O'Hara, his only interactions with law enforcement were traffic tickets. Lawful gun owner with a permit to carry.
But I think the video speaks for itself. What I can tell you is we have identified this person, 37-year-old white male, resident of the city. The only interaction that we are aware of with law enforcement has been for traffic tickets, and we believe he is a lawful gun owner with a permit to carry.
He was out this morning with his phone filming ICE operations in his neighborhood. And here's the critical detail the DHS is desperate to bury. ICE approached him.
Let's go around.
Do you see that? He's standing there, phone in hand, recording, not threatening anyone, just exercising his First Amendment right to document government agents operating in his community. And ICE agents close distance on him. He has his phone in his hand, not a weapon, a phone, and 8 ICE agents swarm him. And while he's on the ground, one of these fascist fucks starts whipping him in the face repeatedly with a tear gas canister, beating him over and over. You can see it clear as day. I want to keep an eye on this agent here on the left. You can see a canister in his hand. There's the first hit. Here's the canister again in his hand. And there's where the shot happens. What happens next is on video from multiple angles, and it's going to make you physically sick, because this isn't an arrest that went wrong. This is a prolonged beating followed by a methodical execution.
People, the fuck is wrong with you? Honestly.
Now, details are still coming out, but I want to get into the details that prove, so far from what we have, that this was murder, not self-defense. It's not a justified shooting, not any of the horse shit that they're trying to claim. The victim was carrying a holstered pistol. Holstered, as in not in his fucking hands. He's a legal gun owner with a carry permit in an open carry state. And here's the sequence. ICE agents remove the holstered weapon from his body. Look here. So I want you to keep an eye on the agent in the gray hoodie, the gray sweatshirt. You can see him reaching over the right side of the victim where he's pulling out a gun from here. You will see him then get up with that gun in hand. Here's the gun there. And there's the first shot. He moves away with the gun, still in his hand. Again, so here's the agent reaching over, reaching into his waistband. He pulls a gun, and then he runs away.
What the fuck?
Right there. Now, I want to point out, and I want to stop the video where you can see the gun being pulled, and then you can hear the first shot after the fact. There's where the gun gets pulled out. The gun has been removed, and now is when you start hearing shots.
Oh shit! What the fuck?
Now, if you're wondering who pulled the trigger, it was this agent here in the black hooded sweatshirt and minimal marking on the back of his vest.
They killed him? Did they fucking kill him?
We'll get a better angle from this from the front, from the other side. From the lady here in the pink coat. That's where you see the other video come from. So from this angle, the officer that fires nearly all of the shots, the first rally of shots, and then a handful of the other remaining shots is going to be this guy right here. He's the guy in the black beanie. This guy here, this is where he moves around and then pulls his weapon and shoots him there. And then you'll also see him move around. So this is the guy that you're going to want to watch. Here's where he switches the canister. He had pepper spray in his hand. This is where he switches and then reaches to unholster his weapon. And there's where he does so. There's the first shot. You can see it here. If you watch right between here, here's the weapon, here's the gun. Where he has fired the first shot, there's the hand. And you will see multiple more shots come from right here.
Oh shit! What the fuck?
And then he moves back here and continues to fire.
They killed him? Did they fucking kill that guy? Are you?
So when we watch that frame by frame, they've already removed his gun. It's not on him anymore. And they shoot him anyway. Once, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. And then another as he's laying on the ground, volley of 5 more shots. 10 shots. Now, as you see in this video, this is the man that they killed. This is the man that was murdered by our federal ICE agents again. You can see him here as ICE agents shove someone to the ground. They pepper spray him in the face repeatedly as he's just trying to help that person up. Then they grab him off and drag him to the ground. You can see that this is the guy here that has the pepper spray canister. And then I'm going to go back and then we will locate the actual person who does these shots and show where he comes from. All right, so as this comes up, this is the guy that we're going to watch in the background. He's right here in the background. The black hood, the green shirt. This is him as he begins to walk up. He's going to come around the backside. He's going to pull pepper spray out of his pocket. This is where he removes the pepper spray. He goes to pepper spray this person. He points it at her face, but doesn't actually do it. This is when he turns around. He moves the pepper spray into his other hand, unholsters. There's the shot. And he's the one that fires all of the shots. So that's not stopping a threat. That's execution shots. That's putting rounds into a corpse to make sure he's fucking dead. And then, like fucking clockwork, the Department of Homeland Security puts out their propaganda. Now, after you've watched that video and you've seen it with your own eyes, after we've looked at what actually happened, listen to the spin, listen to the propaganda that they put out. At 9:05 a.m., as DHS law enforcement officers were conducting a targeted operation in Minneapolis against an illegal alien wanted for violent assault, an individual approached U.S. Border Control officers with a 9mm semi-automatic handgun. We saw the video. He did not approach them with a handgun. This is either intentional misdirection that he approached them and he had a handgun on him, but they're making it sound like he approached them with a handgun actually drawn, with it out, like that he came up to officers. And he didn't. He had his camera out. He was recording. They removed the handgun off of him. They approached him during that time. He didn't approach the officers. The officers attempted to disarm the suspect, but the armed suspect violently resisted. I didn't see that in the video either. They were beating him in the face. They had him down on the ground. They removed the gun out of his waistband or out of his holster, whatever that was. The gun was removed. He wasn't violently resisting. I didn't see him fight back. I didn't see him throwing punches. I saw his hands and knees on the ground as they executed him. Then they claim, fearing for his life and the lives and safety of fellow officers, an agent fired defensive shots, and the man was pronounced dead on the scene. And now here comes the part where they try to turn him into a domestic terrorist again. You're gonna hear that language again. The suspect also had 2 magazines and no ID. Wow, that makes him a fucking terrorist. I can't believe he doesn't have ID on him. This looks like a situation where an individual wanted to do maximum damage and massacre law enforcement. If he wanted to massacre, he'd be carrying around much bigger weapons. If he wanted to massacre, then he would show up with those weapons aimed at the officers and start shooting at them. If he wanted to massacre, there's ways to go about it. A pistol, an armed person that has a legal right to lawfully carry in an open carry state, that had his weapon in his holster, in his waistband, in his holster, wherever it was, but he had it tucked away and not out and not brandishing it like all of these officers are. And you're gonna say that he wanted to do maximum damage and massacre law enforcement. This is insane propaganda from our government. They told you not to believe your eyes and ears. This is Renee Good all over again, where they want you to believe what they say, what their spin is. And the problem is a lot of this is what's going to get shown on Fox News. This is what a lot of people are going to see in their feeds. They're going to see this bullshit and they're going to believe it without actually ever seeing the video, without actually ever going and looking at the evidence for themselves. They are going to get brainwashed by this type of bullshit propaganda. They show the weapon here in their post, and this is the same exact weapon that you can see in the video that the officer removed off of the murder victim. And I mean, that's their spin. An armed individual who was legally carrying a holstered weapon that they removed before executing him. They want you to hear armed and picture someone pointing a gun at federal agents. But the man they killed had his weapon in a holster and they took it off of him before killing him. And all of this 2 weeks after Renee Good was shot and killed and murdered in the street. 2 days ago, we had a law firm representing the family of Renee Good, who released preliminary findings from an independent autopsy commissioned by her family. The report found that Good suffered 3 clear gunshot wound paths, including one to her head. One of the gunshots struck Good's left forearm, and another hit her in the right breast without striking any major organs. Those 2 wounds were not immediately life-threatening, according to the statement. Good also had an entrance wound near her left temple and an exit wound out of the right side of her head. That means when we look at that Renee Good video, it was the 3rd shot that officer fired outside of the side of her window that killed her. Not to mention, there's reporting that she had a pulse afterwards. And this was after they denied a physician the ability to check on her. They didn't render first aid. They didn't render CPR. They didn't try to save her life. They didn't let physicians, doctors, bystanders try to save her life. And when the paramedics showed up, she still had a pulse. This is 2 executions in 2 weeks, both unarmed at the moment of their deaths, both murdered by ICE, and both lied about by DHS. So let's call this what it is: state-sanctioned murder. This is what fascism looks like when it's fully activated, when federal agents can hunt American citizens in the streets, beat them, and execute them and face 0 consequences. And so again, I will ask, where is the line for you? When is enough for you to go outside and do something about it? This cannot continue to happen. You need to have a voice. You need to stand up to fascism before it gets worse.
So to everyone listening, stand with Minneapolis. Stand up for America. Recognize that your children will ask you what side you were on. Your grandchildren will ask you what you did to act to prevent this from happening again. To make sure that the foundational elements of our democracy were rock solid. What did you do to protect your city? What did you do to protect your nation? This is not what America is about. This is not a partisan issue. This is an American issue.
Your children and grandchildren are going to ask you which side you were on. What did you do to prevent this from happening again? He's right. This is the moment. This is where we either stop this or we live in a country where federal death squads operate with impunity. Governor J.B. Pritzker sees and speaks exactly where this is headed.
I just think that if we do not stop this now, if we don't abolish Trump's ICE and make sure that we have a trained force that is following the law, that this is going to erupt into something really terrible. It already is, but it could get vastly worse.
Vastly worse. We're at 2 murders in 2 weeks, and it's going to get worse if we don't act. Zoran Mamdani, the mayor of New York, is calling it what it is. He says, as tens of thousands across America protest the violence that ICE sows with impunity, federal agents shot and killed another person in Minneapolis today. ICE terrorizes our cities. ICE puts us all in danger. Abolish ICE. Not reform, not oversight, abolish. Because you can't reform a Gestapo, a brown shirt military. You disband it. And AOC lays out exactly what needs to happen right now. Americans are being killed in the streets by their government. Our Constitution is being shredded and our rights are dissolving. Resist. Senate Democrats should block ICE funding this week. Activate the National Guard. We can and must stop this. And this comes after House Democrats, 7 of them, just voted to push the funding bill through and give more money to DHS and to ICE. They voted for more of this. How incredibly tone deaf can you be? You are not meeting the moment. This is not an opposition party. This is not standing up against what's happening in our streets. We need to activate the National Guard if necessary to protect citizens from federal agents. This is what resistance looks like when your government starts executing people in the streets. Because here's the insane part. This is just the beginning. We are watching a test run. They're testing how far they can go, how many Americans they can kill before there's real resistance, how brazen the lies can be before anyone stops them. A man filmed ICE. They approached him, they beat him, they disarmed him, and they executed him with 10 bullets, 5 of them into his corpse. And DHS called him an armed individual, like that justifies anything. That's tyranny. Full fucking stop. When federal agents can murder citizens for filming them and face 0 consequences, you don't live in a democracy anymore. You live in a police state run by fascists who know that they're untouchable. Our voices haven't worked. Our protests haven't worked. Our votes haven't worked. Our congresspeople haven't worked. No one is protecting us. No one is coming to save us. They haven't sent in the National Guard. How many murders is it going to take before someone saves us before someone does something to protect United States citizens, while the fucking fascists in the White House continue to call people domestic terrorists, to call them an armed insurgents, to dehumanize them to the point that it's okay for these federal masked death squads to continue murdering people in the streets with no accountability and no consequences. No one is coming to save us. So we must save ourselves. Listen, if you're getting this information from the Matt Balla Show instead of corporate media, that should tell you everything you need to know about who's willing to cover this honestly, without spin, without bullshit. Independent media is the only thing standing between you and complete information blackout about these murders. You have independent media on the streets recording this stuff. This isn't MSNBC. This isn't ABC. They're not on the streets. Fox is not out there on the streets. Not until shit hits the fan. They're not out there recording this fascist takeover of our country, of our cities. And it's independent media that's going to bring those stories to you as they happen. So support my channel. Share this video and get ready, because they're going to keep killing people until someone stops them. I'll see you in the next video.